Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Indecisive podcast. I am Bryony.
I'm Sam.
And we're here to discuss books again because we have a book that we have both read recently. And it is releasing, I think, the day before we post this. It releases on the 26th. And that book is The Mask Falling, which is the fourth instalment in the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon.
What's it about, Bryony?
I mean, you couldn't do it either, but I won't. The series follows Paige Mahoney, who is a clairvoyant in a world where clairvoyance shouldn't exist. She is what is known as a dreamwalker, which is one of the highest or the highest order of clairvoyance. And as the series starts, she gets taken to a place that shouldn't exist, and then events spiral. Like, that's a really basic kind of introduction to what happens in one book out of 7.
But it is spoiler-free.
It is spoiler-free.
It is a book in which events take place. There we go.
Yep. One is set in Oxford. One is set in London. Another is set in Manchester, amongst other places. And the most recent one is set in Paris. And that's not a spoiler because she has said it everywhere. I'm just throwing it out there. When we're allowed out again and when you get a passport, I think we should do a walk-in The Mask Falling tour around Paris.
I'm not against this idea.
Okay, that's good. Because, we're planning on going there at some point. We might as well combine the two. So, Sam, what's your general experience with the series? Like, how did you get introduced to it? Have your opinions changed and the like?
I was introduced to it a good while ago by a friend on Tumblr. Can't remember why she read it, but she told me she thought I'd like it, so I read the Bone Season. And yes, it turns out I do in fact like it. And it's
Did you
Sorry, go on.
read it before the next one was out?
Yes.
Was it original?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you've got the hardback. I should know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those series that I've reread generally every time a new book comes out and like more every time I reread it. So by this point, I love it a great deal.
Yeah, Samantha Shannon writes those books. Those books that you need to reread. I am planning on rereading them. I'd quite like to reread The Mask Fallen now. And I've decided just stop at the end of chapter 21. I think that would be a great place to stop the book. There was a TikTok that came out earlier today, which shows your feelings as you go through those final 6 chapters. So spoilers for The Mask Falling, it's gonna hurt you.
I mean, this is a Samantha Shannon book. I'm not sure that's a spoiler.
No, that's true.
You will be in
I feel
pain.
like it hurts more, this one. You're not wrong that it's not a spoiler, that she's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
My experience with the book is a lot shorter. I read the first one after The Priory of the Orange Tree last year. And kind of didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but it was a 3-star read for me the first time I read it. I don't know if I ever told you because I was frightened of telling you because I knew how much you liked the series.
No, you told me.
Oh, did I? Okay. Did I tell you at the time or did I tell you afterwards?
No, you told me at the time.
Oh, well, that was nice of me.
Very brave of you, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't not like it, but for some reason I just didn't love it. I got through it super quickly. I think I read it in about 2 or 3 days.
I mean, you were probably just hungover from Priory. It has that effect.
I think that was it. I think jumping in from her most recent novel to her debut, which she wrote 10 years ago, is quite a change.
Yes.
And I think I read them within the same month. I always thought it was about a month different, but I think it was the same month. And so I just think it wasn't the right timing wise for me to do that. No. Because when I revisited them this year, I enjoyed them so much more, but also I read the rest, so the beginning meant a lot more. I mean, I really liked the third one. I really liked the song Rising, and I think that's because I'd allowed time between one book and the next. There was quite a big gap, but the Mime Order I didn't love, but I think that's because it took me too long to read.
See, I adore the Mime Order. I think it's my favourite one.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that now. I can see that, but at the time, the big plot event in the Mime Order I expected to happen about half of the way through, and so I was just a bit why is it still going? but like now I knew it was going to happen at the end, I could kind of appreciate the book more, if that makes sense.
Yeah. See, the mime order is like is specifically pandering to me because it's magical criminal underground, and that's just my jam.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and I feel like that's why I liked the song Rising so much more, because it appealed to, I suppose, kind of the things I liked in Priory, where it was like this massive world, and in the song Rising we start to see different parts of the world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We start to see like a bigger thing, and I know that's what Samantha Shannon has said about the book itself. Like, she wants to explore a kind of dystopian series on a fantasy scale, and I think that you definitely started to see that in the song Rising, and then you get to experience it a lot more with The Mask Fallen.
Yes.
So what were your opinions on The Mask Fallen, as that's why we're here? Do a spoiler-free one, and then we'll kind of spoiler later.
Yeah, I did wonder if that's how we were going to format it. It makes a lot of sense. So in general, I liked it an awful lot. I didn't love specific things about the ending, but we'll get more to that in a few minutes.
I'm sure we will cover the ending in great detail.
Yes, but it didn't detract enough to make me not like the book. I think it's great. I think it stands, you know, with the others every bit as good as any of the other three. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think each of them have their own merits, but I think this is probably, because she's written Priory since having written the song Rising, I think it's her strongest book.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like certain parts about the ending, I think it's one of her strongest books. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of things. I mean, you know, the things that I really liked. I love the relationships in it. I especially loved the one between Paige and Arcturus, because like that's special to me. And whilst there's a lot of action, it's very much a kind of character-driven book. Yeah,
for an author who doesn't like writing action, she writes it very well.
Yeah, but even though the Dawn Chorus was in between the two books, there's still time for the recovery in this one, even though she still does go and do stuff because she's Paige, and I can't work out if she's stupid or brave, or potentially both.
I think that sums her up quite well.
Yeah, what's the word? Fueled by coffee. Her bowl of coffee throughout. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fab book.
Definitely. Most good.
Yeah. And I think my final question on the like general book, which I have sent to you, is what kind of grounds would you recommend the series? Like, other than it just being like fab?
I don't know.
Like, because I know you'd say you should read this, it's really good. But like, is there anything you, like, specifically you'd say?
I'd recommend it to someone who was looking for a really solid, you know, in quote marks, because it's not really magic, but a really solid magic system. It's a really good, well thought out, well structured magic system. I'd recommend it to someone who's, I almost don't like using the term because it's such a loaded term these days, but who wants a strong female character trademark. But there's so many grounds to recommend it on. No,
I feel like they're having a multi-book series, although it's not finished. I feel like people like a series you can like really get stuck into.
Someone who's after a good like cast dynamic, lots of different character arcs, lots of
that's exactly what I was going to say, like character arcs, but also just like the variety of characters, like so many queer characters and things. They're fabulous. They're wonderful. It's a good series. It has many merits, and also you could recommend it on the audiobook.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is about the narrator of the audiobooks, but she captures Paige. She captures the feel of the series. She's a wonderful narrator.
And it's just the perfect voice for Paige as well. I don't know, is there anything else that you can say that's spoiler free?
I don't know. I feel like it's good, read it. It's about as far as you can go being spoiler free.
Yeah. I really want to read it now. I don't think there's a lot to kind of say that's spoiler free, like you said, that isn't just read it. I do have a spoiler free review for The Mask Fallen. I have spoiler free review notes for the first three. I can't remember if I've written full reviews. I also remembered I did a babbly review of the series last year that I'm really tempted to react to. See how my opinions have changed. I mean, at the very least, I have learnt that the ref don't look green. I don't think I'm the only one who's ever thought that, because I feel like when you think otherworldly creature, you just think alien looking.
See, I've never thought they look green. That's such a weird thing to me. But I did think Arcturus had long hair, and when I discovered he didn't, it threw my whole worldview into disarray.
Like, it's literally mentioned in The Mask Falling.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed it.
No, it's not literally mentioned that he's got short hair, but he mentions how it's a thing, that their hair doesn't grow, and so like cutting it is like an active choice. Also, they don't have belly buttons. She got an ask about that the other day, and she was like, well, it's 6 days till we find out. But yeah, should we do spoilers?
Let's do it.
So sing a happy tune, Sam, because the spoilers aren't going to be happy.
No, I don't want to do that.
Okay, that's fine. So I have questions on the series in general, which are a bit spoilery, and I have one on The Mask Falling. So which would you like to do first?
Let's do series in general first.
Okay, so we vaguely discussed this when we had a brief discussion over Skype the other day, which was, what's the flower in the bell jar? Now, you reckon it's the... Oh my god, Mo's here as well! Hi, Mo!
All the cats. Well, except for Mags.
Oh my
but
god,
Mags never moves
you
anywhere.
Come to my own room. Come here, Mo. She's just ignoring me. So yeah, we discussed it the other day, and you reckon it might be that poppy, which isn't the real poppy, which I told someone else that the poppy is not a poppy as we think of, but another poppy. You reckon it's that, and I'm not sure. I feel like it was a red flower, but I can't work out why it blooms when Paige and Arcturus kiss.
I'd still love to think that it's the flower in the riddle from Priory that opens at night, that Tane thinks the others are idiots for not knowing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the answer to that is clearly a flower that blooms at night, right? That's clearly what the riddle's about. So that's what the flower is.
I feel like no, because, like, that's too simple an answer. I mean, it's really not simple an answer, but, like, I don't know. I feel like the fact it blooms when they kiss has some significance.
Yeah.
But I can't work out what it is. And I feel like it would be weird for her to carry around a flower that can kill her.
Yes.
But also that feels like the ultimate power move.
Yes.
To be like, here's this thing that can kill me, but only I have access to it. But then again, I can't work out why it's dead before. And then I just have a lot of questions about it. And I feel like we just brush over it. And it still confuses me. Every time I read it, it confuses me. But I feel like I'm not going to come across answers here.
The books are really good at, you know, you are hemmed right into Paige's point of view, and they're really good about not explaining things she doesn't know about. Because you do find...
Yeah, you don't conveniently, like, it's not like a third-person book that I won't name, where, like, you can jump to other characters to see what else is happening in the series.
You are really hemmed into Paige's point of view, and any blinkers she has on, you have on too. She doesn't know what it is, so neither do we. Yeah. I'm not convinced we've had enough clues to really know what it is yet, but I suspect it will come up again later.
Yeah, it feels like too important a thing to have mentioned and not come back to.
This is where some smart aleck in the comments tells us exactly what it is.
I'm sure they will, but I don't know what it is. So my other main question thing about the series in general, and kind of to do with The Mask Falling, in the Bone season, Paige lets Warden in on a memory where she has sex for the first time with an amaurotic. Erotic. And she talks about how, or she doesn't, but like Warden kind of talks about how it doesn't work because she's clairvoyant and he's not. Do you think that's actually the case, or do you think it's kind of to do with her sexuality?
I don't know. I've never put any thought into that at all. But now you're
you're just me.
You would. You're more invested in thinking about that kind of thing than I am.
Yeah.
But now you've asked me to. I will. And I don't know.
I think it's a combination of both. I feel like it's not necessarily a convenient thought, but that's kind of it. It's a thing you would think.
Yeah, I think...
Like, if that's like a thing, it might be a thing that, like, they can have a relationship, but it's not perfect. That would make sense. But, like, I feel like it is also to do with the fact that she's...
Yeah, I think a lot of it, thinking about... Well, maybe not a lot of it, but I think some of it, certainly, must be Paige, and
Yeah.
Paige's sexuality.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just a thought I had, so I made note of it, knowing that we would discuss the book at some point. So my final general question is: do you think Warden learned sarcasm?
Possibly in the same way I learned French. I learned what all the words meant, but I couldn't string them together, and I wasn't really very good at it. Maybe he learns it pigeon style, parrot
I mean,
fashion.
he clucks at her at some point.
He knows it. He's learnt it parrot fashion, but he never really gets fluent in it.
Yeah. I feel like you can't spend so much time around him and not know it. Like, I think Samantha Shannon said he has 7 languages he'd learned. So, like, French, English, Greek, it's going to test my memory, Latin, sign language, and 2 more. But I feel like we should add an 8th one to that, being sarcasm.
I think he's been fluent in it from the start. He's just too refined to use it.
Possibly. I feel like you can't have been around for 200 years and not know it. It
is apparently the lowest form of wit, although I think people who say that just don't understand it at all, to be honest. But no, he's just too refined to be sarcastic, but he gets it. I'm
sure you are aware, I use sarcasm a lot. And I always use it all the time. And I feel like I go through phases of using it less, because there will always be someone who thinks I'm serious, and then I'll be like, okay, I should stop doing this. Yeah. Like in first year, when I found out Jenna, like one of my flatmates, was going to be studying law, I thought, oh, well, if we ever do anything naughty on a night out, we know who to turn to. And she was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I was like, okay. And so my couple of talking points. I don't want to go on for too long because we've already been babbling and this will be fun to cut down. So one of the things I loved about The Masked Fallen so much was kind of how history is integrated into the story. We know that from the beginning, Jack the Ripper is something to do with it. I think it's the mime order we find out that he's actually one of Natasha's, angels, fallen angels?
Nashira.
Shut up.
Natasha's my new boss's boss at work.
Oh, we'll cut that bit out. We'll start that again. So we know from the beginning that Jack the Ripper has something to do with the story. I mean, it's how the whole kind of clairvoyance are evil narrative came about. But I really liked how it was kind of introduced in this. I think in the Mime Order, or the Song Rising, it might be the Song Rising, we find out Nashira is something to do with Jack the Ripper, that she has his poltergeist. I'm not sure if he's one of her fallen angels, but he's somehow connected to her. And I really liked how his killing spree was introduced to the story. And I feel like it's done constantly throughout. Like I mentioned to you the other day, I like that Sinatra actually refers to Frank Sinatra, but that's not necessarily a spoiler. I just liked how it was done.
Yes.
My next talking point is, I know the ending frustrated you for reasons we will cover now, but I personally don't think she could have ended it in another way without it turning into another Priory. What do you think?
Okay, so my beef with it is that she's left too much dangling. Like, Samantha Shannon has always done a very, very good job of wrapping everything up and then giving us one thing to want us to get to the next one.
Read on.
But in this one, she's left like 3 or 4 separate threads dangling. And if she'd even tied off one of them, like if Paige had got to Warden and then the missile started falling or something like that, I'd have had no problems with it at all.
I don't think he was in there.
No. Well, I don't.
Because
I don't know. I've forgotten precisely what happens in the ending. I just remember I have that beef with it.
On the similar point, this is my final kind of talking point. I can't believe you sat there on Skype when I'd started reading it, and I made a prediction for the series saying that I think Paige or Warden's going to die. And you sat there knowing what the ending was like, and a couple of days after I finished it, I was like, oh, you just let me sit there and say that, knowing exactly what happens. It was not okay.
I didn't want to spoil it for you.
I don't think he died.
Neither do I.
No, I know. I know you didn't, but I don't think
Neither do I.
But also, I don't know how they're going to get back together. Because I'm very confused about who the sneaky person was at the end. I mean, I know who they were in context of this book.
Yeah, but don't know.
But I'm confused who they are in context of
I don't know who they're
story.
working for. No,
because they're clearly English. Maybe. Well, they're clearly not French. And I'm just very confused. Like, when we get the next book, is just like the whole of this book going to be erased?
Wouldn't have thought so. I don't think.
It's because they give her some white
Yeah.
aster, don't they? So at what point does that erase? I assume it might just erase the point where she realizes he's not bad. Not.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Where she thinks, and she makes the realization, and she doesn't know that he might be dead. But like I said, I don't know how they're going to get back together, and that bit's stressing me out.
That's something else that irks me. Hearing you say her remembering that he's not, her realizing he's not been bad. The fact there's another Dreamwalker, that just it irks me.
I knew it wasn't going to be him when it turned up. Like, I made a note on my phone. I said, "Fuck, chapter 22 was a mistake, but not as much as 23." And then I said, "I will not believe he is a traitor. I reckon he's been bound to Shira or something. Possession." So, like, I didn't think it was him. So, like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together that it would be another Dreamwalker. I just assumed, because in the Rose Ring, in the Mime Order, Jackson almost possesses Paige, or thinks he does. So I just assumed it was the same thing, because Nashira is a binder. I assumed that's what she'd done, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. So I don't know. I don't really know what I think about that.
Wait, did
I'm just less upset.
Did we ever actually get confirmation of it, or was it just a theory going around in Paige's head? I don't know. I don't know if we ever, if it ever was indisputable fact that there's another Dreamwalker, or if it was just a theory running through Paige's head.
What, when she spoke to him?
Like I said, I don't remember the ending well enough to be fully fluent in a conversation about it. I can't remember if it was ever confirmed that what's his face, the red jacket. Yes. Cade. If he ever actually definitely is a Dreamwalker. Did we get that in black and white that he is?
No, but like, she looks at him and sees all the clues that she has. Like, she sees that he's really pale, like he's lost colour in his lips, and would presumably have lost them in his hands as well, but he always wears gloves. So I don't know.
No. But like, Paige is very, very good at putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5, isn't she? So
yeah, I don't know. It's twisty,
isn't it?
I will reread it, and like I said, I'm just going to stop on chapter 21.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
When it's all happy. So part 3 is called Eurydice. I think that's how you say it. Are you familiar with the story of Eurydice? Okay, I would like to read you the story of Eurydice, just to show you why this part is sad.
Go for it.
Like the actual myth. So Eurydice was I'm going from Wikipedia. Eurydice was the wife of musician Orpheus, who loved her dearly. On their wedding day, he played joyful songs as his bride danced through the meadow. One day, Eurystheus saw and pursued Eurydice, who stepped on a viper, was bitten, and died instantly. Distraught, Orpheus played and sang so mournfully that all the nymphs and deities wept and told him to travel to the underworld to retrieve her, which he gladly did. After his music softened the hearts of Hades and Persephone, he was allowed to take her back to the world of the living. In another version, Orpheus played his lyre to put Cerberus, the guardian of Hades, to sleep, after which Eurydice was allowed to return with Orpheus to the world of the living. Either way, the condition was attached that he must walk in front of her and not look back until both had reached the upper world. Soon he began to doubt that she was there, suspecting that Hades had deceived him. Just as he reached the portals of Hades and daylight, he turned around to gaze on her face, and because Eurydice had not yet crossed the threshold, she vanished back into the underworld. That's it. He goes to the underworld to retrieve his wife, and all he has to do is not look at her for the story, and he looks back on the final step and she dies again. It's a very sad story,
isn't it?
And it reflects the fact that the whole third part is named after this.
I'd go to the underworld to get you back.
Thank you. Would you turn around?
Well, I mean, I have immense trouble not looking at you at the best of times, so I think, unfortunately, I probably would.
Okay, would you instead just kill yourself and come and join me?
That feels like a very emo thing to do. I was the emoest emo to ever emo when I was a teenager, so yeah.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe me? Don't believe me?
I don't believe you are the emoest emo.
You didn't know me when I was...
If you were, you'd still be.
You didn't know me when I was 16.
I know, but I think you'd still be the emoest emo You were.
I mean, I have spent the last 2 weeks listening to nothing but Fall Out Boy, so, there is that.
We've moved on from Taylor Swift. It's not a proper theory, but just something I've noticed. I mentioned it to someone earlier. In The Masked Fallen, Cade mentions that his name means bear, doesn't he? Like some sort of bear. And Paige notices, because he's wearing a bear mask, and Paige notices that her name also means bear. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Arcturus also means bear. So I'm like, I wonder if anything's there. And so someone posted this on their stories, and I was like, okay. When you discover Arcturus means bear guardian and was apparently placed in the sky by Zeus to protect the two bears, Ursa Minor and Ursa Major. So I wonder if there's something in there. I can't work out what it is, but she wouldn't do something like that. She wouldn't mention the etymology without there being a reason.
No.
So whether he takes both Dreamwalkers under his wing or something?
Yeah.
But I can't imagine him being on particularly good terms with Cade after that.
No, neither can I. But we do know that Arcturus is someone who can put the greater good ahead of his own comfort.
Yeah. I wasn't very pleased when Paige didn't kill Jackson, I'll be honest. I didn't expect her to, but I wanted her to.
I don't know. I didn't expect her to either, but I don't know. I'm not sure I'd have been...
I mean, I didn't necessarily want her to kill him, but you know what I mean?
I'm not sure I'd have loved it if she did, and I can't really put a finger on why.
It makes the theories more interesting, him still being around.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But also, killing in cold blood isn't really Paige's thing, is it? It lowers her down into the shit along with all the other morally reprehensible characters.
Yeah.
And Paige, for all she plays at being a cutthroat criminal queen, she's still a human being.
She's still only a baby.
A wee babby, yeah.
Hello, everyone. We're just quickly jumping back in. A couple of days afterwards, Samantha Shannon has had her launch, and she has had a couple of events. I don't think Sam has seen the bit I'm going to refer to, but I wanted to jump on just for a final discussion point. So, Sam, do you think Warden has nipples?
No.
Why? Samantha Shannon won't say. She's decided it's going to be the thing she uses to entice people to her events to ask again. But she won't say. I also agree. I also think no. But I want to know your logic.
I mean, they're a distinct feature of mammalian womb births, aren't they? That's not a thing the refs deal with, is it?
No, because they don't have belly buttons.
Exactly, yeah.
But blokes have nipples.
Well, yeah, but we're part of the same species as women. Although, some would disagree. But
and if they've got no nipples, is it just like Aladdin and it's just like a flat thing?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I wanted to ask.
You can surf along a well-toned ref's body, yeah.
Yeah. It's so when they make it into a TV show, they're going to have to just edit out the actor's nipples.
Yeah, just wear flesh-coloured pasties.
Oh, that was whoever was chairing this one suggested he doesn't have nipples. He has nipple tassels instead. So yeah, that's all I wanted to jump back on to ask you, because I feel like that's an important discussion point, because in The Masked Fallen he finally takes his top off. So it won't be a problem for a series until the fourth series.
I think if he didn't, Paige would have commented on it.
But also you don't. So you think he doesn't?
I don't know, but you're right. He does take his top off in The Masked Fallen, and Paige doesn't comment on it. And I think she'd be the type to comment on a lack of, nipular area.
Well, Samantha Shannon did also say that it did cross her mind. So obviously she knows, but she noted that for men you don't note that their nipples stand erect in a slight breeze or anything.
I mean, just because it's crossed her mind doesn't mean she's made up her mind on it. Oh, quite possibly. But plenty of things have crossed my mind in stuff I've written, and I don't know the answer. It's crossed my mind, but I never came to any conclusions.
But she's got loads of conclusions about this book, and she's been working on it for 10 years. I can't imagine she's been working on it for 10 years and doesn't know whether or not Warden has nipples.
I don't know.
Have you changed your mind? Do you think he does have them now?
I don't know. I still think purely biologically, probably not. But I also think Paige would have
Maybe
commented
he's
on it
got like
if she didn't.
tattoos.
Well, he tattooed nipples, like people who get their bums tattooed, so like the face is a
I was
surprised
not
face and
gonna
it's the
say
butthole.
like people that have like breast surgery have nipples tattooed on them.
Yeah, no, my mind didn't
I
go
can
there.
tell.
My mind meant to butt tattoos.
Okay, well, thank you for jumping back in to have this discussion with me. I'm glad I can amuse you for the afternoon. I have many thoughts, and I think we could go on forever, but I feel like we have reached a closing
I mean, I feel like
point.
quarter of an hour ago we passed the point where people are going to stop listening. So yeah,
I feel like there's at least kind of 5 to 8 minutes to edit out.
I don't know. It depends how harsh you want to be.
Oh, I can be harsh.
I know.
You
What?
know? When am I
What? I
harsh to
never said
you?
that. Who said that?
I heard.
It
I
wasn't
know.
me. I didn't say it.
I have an audio
No,
recording that says
it wasn't
you
me.
said I
didn't
know.
say it.
Okay, well, you better be cutting then if you want me to not hear that. So yeah, should we end it there? Conclusions, if you have reached this far, read the Bone Season series and go into the Mask Fall In with a box of tissues and some chocolate.
Also, well done and thank you very much if you've made it this far.
Yeah, well done, everyone. You did a good job. And we will be back again at some point in the future with another one of these.
Bye-bye.
Bye.